A small, red spaceship, shaped like a rubber ducky, zipped through a dark, star-filled sky. Inside, a boy named Benny, with a mop of curly red hair and big, curious green eyes, pressed his face against the cockpit window. His expression was one of pure wonder, a wide smile spreading across his freckled cheeks. He wore a bright yellow spacesuit that looked a bit too big for him, its sleeves bunched up at his wrists. Suddenly, a planet of shimmering, swirling colors appeared on his screen. It was not a normal planet. It was made entirely of bubbles. Benny's spaceship landed with a soft bowing on the bouncy surface. The ground wobbled beneath him. He stepped out, his magnetic boots making a squishy sound. The world around him was a spectacle of light and color. Giant bubbles, some as big as houses, floated gently in the air. They glowed with internal light, casting rainbows across a sky that swirled with pink and purple mist. Smaller bubbles, the size of marbles, drifted around his head like tiny, soapy stars. Benny took a cautious step. Pop! A bubble under his boot burst, releasing a puff of lavender-scented mist. In its place, 3 new, smaller bubbles instantly appeared, wobbling into existence. Benny giggled. He jumped. Pop, pop, pop. The ground under him reformed with every leap. He was on a planetary trampoline. He laughed as he bounced higher and higher. Each landing created a new landscape of bubbles. He bounced on a big blue bubble, and it popped, creating a spray of tiny orange bubbles that giggled as they flew past his face. He rolled down a hill of green bubbles, each one popping with a different musical note, creating a silly, bumpy song. The air smelled of strawberries, then lemons, then fresh rain. The entire planet was a playground built from imagination. Benny felt like the luckiest kid in the universe. He spent what felt like hours exploring, his face a constant mask of delight. He discovered bubbles that stretched like taffy and bubbles that sang opera when you poked them. He found a river of slow-moving, glittery bubbles that carried him along like a lazy raft. The glowing skies shifted from purple to a soft, warm orange, bathing the bubble world in a beautiful sunset glow. Benny lay on his back on a particularly large, sturdy bubble, watching the smaller bubbles drift by. His expression was one of pure contentment. He had never seen anything so beautiful or fun. Suddenly, a strange sound cut through the air. It was a low, sad hum. Benny sat up, his happy expression replaced by one of concern. He looked around. Far in the distance, a massive, city-sized bubble began to wobble violently. Its shimmering surface flickered. Then, with a deafening pop, it exploded. It did not create new bubbles. It just vanished, leaving a dark, empty space in the sky. A chain reaction started. The bubbles near the empty space began to tremble. Pop, pop, pop. They burst one after another, each one leaving nothing behind. The sad humming grew louder. It was a sound of disappearing. A wave of popping was spreading across the planet, eating the beautiful world. Benny's heart pounded in his chest. His fun was over. Now, there was a problem. The ground beneath him started to feel less stable. The bubbles were bursting faster than they could reform. He had to think. He scrambled to his feet, his face scrunched in concentration. What was different? Why were they bursting now? He looked at the expanding void. The humming seemed to come from there. It was a sound of emptiness. The bubbles were sad. He remembered the musical notes from when he rolled down the hill. Maybe the bubbles liked music. Maybe they needed a happy sound, a happy thought, a happy melody. Benny closed his eyes. He tried to remember the happiest sounds he knew. The sound of his mom laughing. The sound of his dog barking when he came home from school. The sound of rain on the roof when he was cozy in bed. He hummed a small, simple tune. It was a bit wobbly at first. He opened his eyes. A small bubble near his foot, which had been trembling, steadied itself. It pulsed with a soft, gentle light. In time with his humming, Benny's eyes widened. It was working. He needed a bigger sound. He needed a song for the whole planet. He took a deep breath. He started to hum louder, putting all his happy thoughts into the melody. He thought of swinging on a swing, going so high, his toes could almost touch the clouds. The melody soared upwards. A few more bubbles nearby stopped shaking. They began to glow brighter. He thought about the taste of chocolate ice cream on a hot day. The melody became sweet and joyful. More and more bubbles joined in, pulsing with light. Benny started to move. He was not just humming now, he was conducting. He waved his left arm in a slow, graceful arc. A group of large blue bubbles drifted towards him, their humming harmonizing with his tune. They stopped popping. They began to grow, their surfaces swirling with calm, deep blues and greens. Benny spun around, pointing his right finger. A stream of small, yellow bubbles shot up like fireworks, adding a high, tinkling harmony to the song. They fizzed and sparkled, their light pushing back the encroaching darkness. Benny's face was no longer worried. It was filled with intense focus and a growing joy. He was creating something new. He was solving the problem with a song. The empty space had stopped growing. The sad hum was being replaced by Benny's bubble symphony, but the planet was still fragile. He needed to make the song stronger, more permanent. He saw a cluster of long, thin bubbles that looked like flutes. He gently tapped one. It let out a beautiful, clear note. He began to tap them in rhythm with his melody, adding a new layer to his orchestra. He found flat, wide bubbles that made a deep, resonant thump when he stomped on them, creating a steady beat. He was a one-boy band on a planet of musical soap. Benny laughed, a real loud laugh this time. The sound itself made a giant rainbow bubble appear right in front of him. It reflected his own happy, determined face back at him. He realized the bubbles did not just like happy sounds. They were made of them. His imagination, his joy, was the material that built this world. The popping was fear. The sad hum was loneliness. To save the planet, he had to fill it with creativity. He began to conduct with his whole body. He danced and leapt, his every move a note in the song. He conducted the flute bubbles with his fingers and the drum bubbles with his feet. He sang out, not with words, but with pure, happy sounds. The bubbles responded. A river of melody flowed from where he stood, spreading across the land. The bubbles that had popped began to reform, bigger and brighter than before. The sky filled with new, glowing colors. The world was not just being saved. It was being reborn, more beautiful than ever. The dark, empty space was now filled with a sun of pure, golden light. A giant bubble that pulsed with the steady, happy heartbeat of Benny's song. The planet was stable. The bubbles no longer popped with sadness. They bounced and floated, chiming with the melody that now echoed everywhere. Benny, standing in the middle of his creation, lowered his arms. He was tired, but his face was beaming. He looked at the vibrant, singing world around him. He did not just stop the destruction. He had made something entirely new. He saw a problem, and instead of running, he thought of a completely different kind of answer. He used his imagination, not just for fun, but to build and to heal. The bubbles danced around him, a silent thank you. Benny smiled. He knew he would never forget the day he learned that a different way of thinking, powered by a little bit of happiness, could create the most beautiful solutions in the whole universe. He gave one final, happy jump, and the whole planet bounced with him. Thanks for coming along with us on this adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night, little one.